Hi everyone. Thank you for joining February 2023's Stampin' Class by Mail. I'm Gina Wieselman of MySweetPaper.com, and I'm so excited for you to make your beautiful cards for this month's class. I've teamed up with Brenda Cardinal, another Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, to offer these monthly classes by mail. This month, Brenda will show you everything you need to know to make your cards, and next month it'll be my turn. Make sure to watch until the end of this video for a sneak peek of next month's card designs. And don't forget to hit subscribe to this YouTube channel so you don't miss any of our videos. Have fun making your cards, and here's Brenda.
Thanks, Gina. Hi everyone, I'm Brenda Cardinal of stampintulip.stampinup.net, and I can't wait to show you how to stamp and assemble your cards using the Fragrant Flowers bundle and coordinating Favored Flowers Designer Series paper. The bundle can be found in Stampin' Up's January to April 2023 mini catalog, and the Designer Series paper can be earned for free with a qualifying purchase made in January and February during Stampin' Up's Celebration promotion. If you ordered a class kit by mail from either Gina or me, you have all your cardstock cut and ready to go, your embellishments, and your envelopes. Just pull out the stamp set, ink pads, and a few additional items shown here to complete your cards as designed. Please contact Gina or me if you need any supplies, would like to chat about becoming a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, or host a Stampin' Up! Event. Let's get started with our first card design. Our first card is our Hello Flowers card. If you ordered a Stampin' Class by Mail kit from either Gina or me, all your parts and pieces, including those that have been die cut or punched, were shipped directly to your home. If not, here are the things you'll need to complete the cards as designed. Pause the video here to prep everything, and then come back when you're ready. We'll first start by doing our stamping of our flowers, and for this stamping we'll be using our Calypso Coral ink. In your kit you have two pieces of basic white cardstock. One is slightly smaller than the other, and you want to make sure you grab the right one to stamp the right flower image on it. So think of this. The larger flower image is going to go on the larger piece, and the smaller flower image is going to go on the smaller piece. So I'll set the smaller piece aside for just a second, and let's start by stamping our large flower. So when I have a big stamp like this, I like to flip it over and then ink up my stamp and then stamp it down. So we're going to tuck this in the corner, and you want to get it as tight as you can. Like that. And then we'll set that one aside. The smaller piece is for the inside of our card. And I'm going to make sure I have my cardstock oriented the right way. And I'll grab our smaller flower. And I'm just going to stamp mine in the bottom corner here. Like that. Okay. The next thing we'll do, we'll stamp our greeting on our label that we punched with the rectangle postage stamp punch. Now in your kit you did get the relief image, so if you would like to use your Stamparatus to center up your greeting, you can. I'll demonstrate that a little bit later in our video. I'm going to wing it, and I'm going to ink my hello stamp up, and I'm going to stamp it a little bit towards the bottom edge because I want to make sure that we can read the greeting after we put our ribbon on there. So there we go. And then if you'd like, you can pull in your envelope and you can stamp a little something on your envelope if you like. I think I'll go this way and I'll stamp smaller flower a few times on my envelope. Maybe this way. Okay, there we go. And that's all our stamping. So let's start assembling our card. We'll begin by taking our Calypso Coral card base, and we'll use our bone folder to put a nice crease on that. And then using Stampin' Seal, we'll attach our Designer Series paper to the front flap. And we'll center that on the front flap so we have equal borders all the way around. Next, we'll take our inside piece, and again using Stampin' Seal, we'll attach that to the inside of our card. And we'll center that up as well. Next, we'll add our outside piece. And so what we're going to do for this is we're going to add Stampin' Seal to the left edge only. And then we're going to add some Stampin' Seal to the flap. Now, if you look at the card, you'll notice that we don't want to put adhesive all the way to the edge of the Clips with Coral card base. So be careful when you're placing your adhesive. So I'm going to come in just a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to turn this around and I'm going to center my basic white piece on the Clips with Coral piece so that I have equal borders, and then I'm going to close the flap. And then that'll pick that up for me. Okay. Next we'll get our greeting ready. So we'll bring back in our stamped basic white label, and we'll bring in a second one that we also punched with the rectangle postage stamp punch out of Clips with Coral. And we're just going to use a little Stampin' Seal to attach the two. And I'm going to shift the basic white one up and over to the left so I have just a little border showing of the Clips with Coral. And then we're going to attach that using Stampin' Dimensionals. And I think 2 will be okay. And we're going to put this in the upper left corner. And then using mini glue dots, we'll add our pre-tied bow. One of the many perks of ordering a kit from Gina and I is that we pre-tie your bows for you. And you can just put that at an angle. And then if we bring our envelope back in, there's our first card. Our next card is our Thanks Flowers card. And here are the parts and pieces you'll need for this card. Again, we'll start by doing our stamping, and our first ink pad that we'll need for this card is Pale Papaya. And we're going to start by stamping that smaller flower image on the bottom section of the Pale Papaya piece. And we're just kind of creating a little dimension on this Pale Papaya piece so it's not quite so plain. And I think that'll be enough, actually. Next, if you want to add a little something to the inside piece of your card, you can stamp this same flower. And instead of stamping in that lower right-hand corner, I'm going to stamp along the edge here. And then if you want, you can also stamp the same flower image again on your envelope. Okay, and we're done with our Pale Papaya ink. The next thing we want to do is stamp our greeting on our banner that we die cut with the Fragrant Flowers dies. Now you could eyeball it and see if you can line it up, or you can bring in the Stamparatus and get perfect placement. So let me show you how this works. So for easy inking, I'm going to place my stamp case underneath the panel here. And because I chose the cling version of this stamp set, you had the choice of cling or photopolymer. I have the red rubber and foam on mine. So all I need here is my base with my grid paper. So you can place this anywhere you want, and you close the panel here and pick up your stamp. Then with our Evening Evergreen ink, we'll ink our stamp up. We'll stamp it down on our grid paper. And then we'll take our relief image and we'll center up our greeting. We'll hold that down with a magnet. Then we'll drop our label back into that relief image. We'll ink our stamp again. Oops, looks like this shifted a little bit. Let's make sure it's dropped right back into our relief image. It's not really an image, is it? It's a piece. Okay, and then we'll stamp it down. Now, the beauty of the stamp apparatus is if the ink didn't transfer evenly, we can ink it back up and stamp it back down. Oh, better, but not quite there yet. So let's try it one more time. Put a little extra pressure on the S there. I also like the stamp apparatus because sometimes if your pad's not, or your ink pad's not juicy enough, then you don't get that nice strong color that you'd like. Wow. I don't know what's going on here. Let's try it one more time. We're almost there. There we go. All right. So we have all our parts and pieces stamped and ready to go. So let's start assembly. We'll bring in our Evening Evergreen card base. And we'll give that a nice crease with our bone folder. We'll start by adding our inside piece that we stamped to our card base, and we'll use our Stampin' Seal for this. And we'll center that up on the inside of our card. Then we'll work on our focal point. We'll take our Pillow Pie piece that we stamped and our designer series paper, and we'll add that to the top of our Pillow Pie piece, and we'll create equal borders around the top and left and right side. So you can play with this paper. It's a little directional, but whatever way you think looks best. I'm going to go this way. Okay, and then we'll add this to the front of our card. Centering that up. And next we'll add our Pillow Pie faux velvet trim. And we're going to create little points on our velvet ribbon. So what you want to do is you want to fold it in half, and then you want to cut from the raw edge towards the fold to create that point. And we want to do that on both ends. And then take a look at it, see if you like how it looks. Looks like I don't have quite the point that I'd like on here, so I'm going to actually go the other direction. Go from the fold edge to the raw edges. And I'm going to trim it up a little bit, so that's how I want it to look. There we go. Oops, move my paper here. Let's get it back in position. Okay. So before we adhere this down, we want to check to make sure it's not longer than the width of our card. But it looks good here, so I'm going to flip it over, and I'm actually going to attach it using my Stampin' Seal. And we're going to place it so the center of the ribbon runs along the bottom edge of our designer series paper. Next, we'll attach our greeting to our Evening Evergreen piece. This piece, the ends were punched with the Banners Pick-a-Punch. Love this punch. It's like 6 punches in one. You have 2 different ends that'll punch, and then 3 different wisps for each of those different styles of punching. So great value. We'll attach the greeting to our evening evergreen piece, and we just want to make sure, or what we're trying to do here is make sure we have the same amount of the evening evergreen showing on either side of our basic white banner. And I think that looks pretty good. Now, because we're going to attach this above our ribbon, we're going to use mini Stampin' Dimensionals. We want to add our Stampin' Dimensionals so that they ride on the basic white piece and not the evening evergreen piece. This way, the Stampin' Dimensionals won't be on the ribbon. I think the best way to do that is to take your mini Stampin' Dimensionals, and then we're going to take and we're going to cut this edging area in half. And the reason why I like to use this is because this is a little bit wider, and so because this is such a long label, we'll get better coverage with our adhesive. So I'm going to take and add those. I'm trying to stay on the basic white piece. Oops, got a lot stuck to my fingers here. So I'm going to put 3 of these little strips that I cut on either side of that evening evergreen banner. And then I'll peel those release papers up. Okay, so I got them all. And now we're going to center this over our ribbon. Now I'm not going to put any pressure on it. I'm just going to get it kind of placed where I want it. And then I'm going to come back with my mini glue dots and our die cut flowers. And I'm going to take the larger one and I'm going to put a mini glue dot on the front of it. Then I'm going to put a mini glue dot on the back of the smaller one. And I'm going to, stick them together. That's not helpful. Line them up. Once I have them attached the way I want, then I'm going to tuck them underneath. Like that. And now I'm going to put pressure on that banner to hold it down. And then the last thing we need to do is add our little rhinestones. These are the champagne ones. And you'll get 2 for each card, and they're 2 different sizes. And we'll just tuck those in that corner. And then if we bring the envelope back in, there's our second card design. And our last card is our flower fun fold card. And here are the parts and pieces you'll need for this card. So let's start this card by taking our Fresh Freesia card base and folding it in half. And we'll give it a nice crisp fold with our bone folder. Then we're going to stamp this geometric pattern in the upper right corner and lower left corner. For that, we'll be using our Fresh Freesia pad. And this is just kind of however you want to place it, just so there's a little interest in the corner. Okay, you can add that same detail in the corner of the basic white piece that we'll put on the inside of our card. And that's all the stamping we'll do with that stamp. And we'll put our Fresh Freesia pad away for right now. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our flower image on our die cut piece that was die cut using the Fragrant Flowers die cuts on, and we used our fresh freesia again to do that. I think because I chose again the cling stamp, it's going to be pretty hard for me to line up. So I'm going to bring back in my Stamparatus. And take my stamp off my block. And I'm going to lay it here. Pick it up. For this, we'll be using our Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'll ink that flower stamp up. Stamp it down. Oops. Get that transfer all the way. Lay that reliefed piece around our stamped image. Secure it with our magnet. Drop my die cut piece back in. Ink up my stamp. And stamp that image down. Let's see how we did. There we go, perfect placement. And if you had wanted to, you could have used your fresh freesia ink and that stamp before we put it on the Stamparatus and stamped a little something on your envelope as well. All right, so we are going to eventually add a little color to our die cut stamped flower, but I'm going to let the ink dry just a little bit longer before we do that. So let's start assembling our card. Let's add our pretty designer series paper to our basic black piece. And we're going to center that up so we have equal borders. And then we'll add this to the front of our card. This paper is a little directional as well, so just be careful when you put it down and make sure you like how it looks. I had a little crooked there. We wanted it equal borders, same border on the top and bottom, and same border on the left and right. It looks like I had a little crooked to start with. Okay, and then before we put our band on, we're going to attach our inside piece that we stamped with that geometric shape. And we'll center this up on the inside of our card. All right, set this aside just for a second, and then we'll bring in our band, and it was scored for you. So we'll bring our bone folder back in and score that. Now this band wraps around to the back, so all the adhesive goes on the long piece. So let's add some Stampin' Seal to that. And then I think the best way to do this is to lay the small piece on the front that doesn't have the adhesive and place it about where you want it to be. Now my sample here is placed about an inch above the cut edge of the designer series paper. And we'll wrap that to the back. And it may stick out a little bit. I just didn't want it to be short on this side, so when you look in the back it had that weird space. So if yours is a little long, just come back in and trim it with your paper snips. Okay. Oops. Next, we'll attach our basic white circle that was die cut with a stylish shapes dies. I always have such a hard time with that phrase. And we'll center this on our basic black piece that was cut with our layering circles dies. And then we're going to put a little adhesive right there on this edge of the belt that goes around our card. And then we'll attach our circle to that, our circle assembly to that. Okay. And then you received a second die cut circle, and we're going to use that to put on the inside of our card, so it's just a little more finished look when you open that band. And line them up exactly. There we go. So we're almost done, but let's color our flower so we give it a little bit more dimension. So we're going to add a little of our fresh freesia to this flower, and we're going to add a little of our evening evergreen ink to the leaves, and we're going to use a blending pen to do that. To create our color palette, what we're going to do is we're going to take a block A and we're going to just stamp it into the pad, and that's what we'll use to color our flower in. And then we'll do the same thing. I happen to have 2 block A's, so, and we'll get our green color palette. If you don't happen to have 2 pads, or 2 blocks, I should say, you can go ahead and ink one up with one half of the block with one color, one half with the other color. And you don't want to dip your blending pen into the pad itself, because you don't want this clear ink that's in your blender pen to transfer into your pad. So I'm going to check my blending brush has been used before. I just want to make sure that there's no extra ink in it. And then I'm going to come in and I'm going to pick up a little of our fresh freesia. Yep, we're good. And I'm just going to add a little depth and dimension by putting a little color on part of it. I'm not sure you're going to be able to see that exactly, but the hint I'm taking as to where to put the color is all these little lines that are in the flower image. So I just want to add a little color to wherever I see those lines. And there's no right or wrong on this. And when you are using a blending pen on colored cardstock, it's a little more forgiving than it would be if it was basic white. So okay, then I'm going to clear this out, and you can do this one of 2 ways. You can clear this all out so it's ready to go for the next time, or you can clear it out and go right into your green. But I noticed my blending pen, this end actually is kind of green already, so I think I'll just use that end. And then I'm just going to come back, and again I'm going to use those detail lines in the stamp to add the little extra green to the leaves there. And you can go as dark as you want. It'll dry a little bit lighter. Okay, and then I want to clear my blending pen out again. Okay, looks like we're good to go for next time. All right, I'll set all this stuff aside, and then we're going to take our Stampin' Dimensionals. I'm going to use one large one on the larger part of the flower, and I'm going to use a smaller one, oops, on the 2 petals here, 2 leaves I should say. And then however you want to place it, I chose to go this direction on my sample. And then the last thing we're going to do is add our gems. These are the opaque adhesive back gems, and they're really pretty. They come in 4 different colors. We used the white ones for our January class, so we're using the fresh freesia ones for our February class. And you can place them wherever you like. I placed them kind of in a little triangle up here in the corner. Now they don't show a ton, but they are faceted, so they do catch a little light. If you'd like to place yours someplace else, feel free to pick a different place to put them. And there you go, that's our last card. I have a few more samples to show you that I made using the Fragrant Flowers bundle and Coordinating Designer Series paper. For my first sample, I'm going to bring in our first card that we made for the class, and I just wanted to show you a different orientation. This same layout can be done this way versus the horizontal, so they work both directions. I'm going to bring in our last card we made, and I'm going to also show you a slightly different layout. So I used a little love stamp from the set, and then I used a little of our fresh freesia open weave ribbon and just made a little V and put the greeting over it. And then I hope you can see this, but in the dies, it has this die that creates an embossed image. So it doesn't cut, it just creates an embossed image. And I thought that was pretty as well. And then I stamped this flower on basic white and did a lot of coloring with that. And you can see both are really pretty. Our next card was pretty straightforward. I did stamp and color the flowers here, and there's our greeting. The stamp set also has this little word friends, and I thought that was, thanks friend. I thought that was kind of a fun way to do that. And then just a couple flowers stamped on the inside. And there's some of those champagne rhinestones again. And this designer series paper is from the Favored Flowers package. So this next sample shows how one sheet of the designer series paper that has beautiful flowers on it actually has the coordinating die to die cut that image out. And so I did that here on this card. And then I did some leaves here. And then it does have this extra die in the set that, just a little, I don't know what you call it, a bud. And then this one opens this way. So the same sheet that had this large flower spray also had the smaller ones, and again it had a die to cut that out. So I thought that was pretty. But not only did it have this color combination in that sheet of designer series paper, it had the Fresh Freesia Blackberry Bliss one as well. So I made the same card, changed up the color scheme and the designer series paper that I used for my backdrop here, and made two versions of that same card, just different color schemes. This next sample, I don't remember where I saw this idea, but I thought it was really fun. And this is the faux velvet trim that we used on our second card. And it opens this way. So you untie the bow, and then it opens here, and then it opens like that. And now that I'm looking at it, I maybe should pop a piece of designer series paper on this side as well. That'd be kind of fun. But anyway, for this next sample, I did pull out a different stamp set. I pulled in the Peaceful Moments stamp set, and I thought the whole color scheme with the designer series paper might lend itself very nicely to a sympathy card. So I made this sympathy card. It's pretty quick and easy, no die cutting, just some punching and layering. For my last sample, I kind of pulled out all the toys, and I did heat embossing, and I used the split card dies to create a backdrop for my focal point. I love this die set. It has this one and another image in it as well that die cuts the same kind of angle. Really pretty. Heat embossed gold embossing powder, some gold foil buds here, some fancy ribbon, and then some vellum leaves for this one. So I hope all these extra samples that I created help inspire you to create even more beautiful cards with this month's bundle of products. Thanks for joining us for this month's Stampin' Class by Mail. And now here's Gina with a few more things for you.
Thanks for demonstrating how to make those cards, Brenda. Make sure to follow the link in this video description to access the special Pinterest board that Brenda and I have curated to show you even more ways to use this month's class supplies. Next month, it's my turn to design and share the cards with you, and I'm excited to share a sneak peek of our 3 card designs featuring the Sea Turtle stamp set by Stampin' Up. We'll also be using the Something Fancy stamp set or a different greeting stamp set of your choice. If you order a Class by Mail kit, you'll get all the paper and embellishments cut to size and shipped to your door. You'll just need to provide the stamp sets, ink pads, and other assembly items shown here. The registration deadline is March 5th, 2023. Make sure to check your email for more details, including some bonus opportunities. And if you're not already on one of our email lists, reach out to one or both of us and we'll get you added. Again, don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel so you catch all of our upcoming videos. We love getting your feedback, so make sure to leave a comment on this video and let us know Which design did you like the most? Thanks again, and until next month, happy stamping.